Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, April the 8th. I'm Sonia Shrivastava.
And I'm Byron Scott. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, in light of yesterday's power outages across the region, Prince George's County officials are asking residents, advising them to be ready just in case. Ronald Gill is the county's Director of Emergency Management. He tells CTV News that yesterday's incident can serve as a reminder to us all about the need to be ready in case of emergency, whatever the cause may be.
If you have your kit built, if you're prepared for these storms, then you're prepared for this event. You would, if we lost power for hours or days, you would have had the batteries for your flashlights. You would have had a portable radio. You would have had some form of currency up in case there were some in case there was some problems with the banking institutions. So these are the things that we teach our folks to don't just prepare for the snowstorm, the power outage, the water problems. Be prepared for any type of emergency and or disaster.
Well, yesterday's power outage, which affected 28,000 customers, including the White House and Metro rail stations, is being blamed on equipment failure at a Charles County substation.
Opponents speak out against Governor Larry Hogan's proposal to grant tax incentives to companies who donate to private schools. Today, a coalition of education, civil liberties, and LGBT advocates gathered in Annapolis to express their disapproval of the plan. Known as BOAST, the bill proposes $5 million in Hogan's supplemental budget be used to partially reimburse businesses that donate to private schools. Now, critics say if passed, it would allow instructions that prohibit LGBT students from attending to benefit from public tax dollars.
The ACLU in particular opposes this for two reasons. First, we have spent over 20 years trying to ensure that the state lives up to its constitutional mandate to provide a thorough and efficient public school system. And secondarily, and equally importantly, is that private and religious schools do not have to follow the same state anti-discrimination laws that the public schools do.
We have stories of, teachers who've taught with the Catholic school system for 25 years and have married their partners, their same-sex partners, and are fired from their jobs. So, it's just a question of whether or not that, we want in our name, in our taxpayer dollars, to go to this kind of discrimination. And Equality Maryland says we don't.
Now, the BOAST bill has failed to pass the General Assembly every year since 2006.
And big news from the county executive, Rashawn Baker, announcing his support for Representative Chris Van Hollen in his bid for the U.S. Senate in 2016. Now, Baker joined municipal leaders and Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett at a press conference today in Colmar Manor. He says the decision was easy and in the best interest of the county and state, noting the two worked together when they both served in the General Assembly in Maryland.
With Chris for so long. When you work with somebody for 20 years consistently, and not just when I was an elected official, I got a chance to see the measure of the man. Like I said, I'm running a small nonprofit, and I go to him and say, hey, I need some help, working with getting our message out around K through 12 education reform that I think is beneficial to Prince George's County and Montgomery County. And he didn't hesitate. He said yes.
I had the great honor of representing a part of Prince George's County for many years, the United States Congress. In fact, I had the honor of representing the area we're gathered in today, and we worked together over those years to try to make sure the community had the resources that it needed to make sure that its citizens had the best opportunity to live the American dream.
Now, that event taking place at the Colmar Manor Center. Now, Mayor Sadara Barrow says Van Hollen was instrumental in securing the funds needed to build the facility.
But without that funding seed, we would not have been able to have this wonderful amenity. We might have had a smaller building, whatever, but our town citizens have access to this building, the exercise equipment we have downstairs, a full basketball court, a track. And this is also a way to sort of help.
Now, of course, Baker's endorsement means he is not backing Congresswoman Donna Edwards, who represents parts of Prince George's, to fill retiring Senator Barbara Mikulski's seat.
Well, some say the legislation is much needed and long overdue. The House of Delegates unanimously passed the Public Information Act reform this morning. The Senate has already passed a similar bill. This is the first time in 45 years that a significant change is going to be made to the act since it became law. Rebecca Snyder with the Maryland, Delaware, and D.C. Press Association says the legislation will make it easier for residents to get information.
Under current law, there's no one to complain to when you think you're not being treated fairly. So, like if a government body turns down my request for information, the only recourse that I have currently is to sue that public body, which is really not very practical for certainly citizens, certainly the media. You know, there's just a lot going on. When you want the information, you don't really want to be embroiled in a lawsuit. So what this bill does is create a compliance board, which will...
Now, the bill will also change the fees custodians can charge for most requests to be the actual cost of the search.
The investigation continues into a pedestrian accident involving a Metro police cruiser. Now, it happened at about 12:30 this morning on the 3200 block of Branch Avenue near the Naylor Avenue Metro station in Temple Hills. Now, police say a woman was crossing the street when she was hit by the cruiser. They say the officer was not responding to an accident, or emergency call, I should say, and that the lights and siren were not on. The woman is taken to the hospital, listed now in critical condition. A spokesperson with Metro Police says the woman was not walking in the crosswalk, and the officer has been put on administrative duty.
The Prince George's Fire Department lost 2 pieces of equipment in that massive warehouse fire in Capitol Heights on Monday. Now the Kentland Fire Station has set up a GoFundMe account to buy another truck. Now the replacement cost for 2 units is about $1.5 million. And if you're interested in donating, you can log on to GoFundMe/Rescue Engine 33. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Sonia Srivastava.
And I'm Byron Scott.